I'm like, man, I have to know about this book, the significance of the human and spiritual body. And anytime you're tapping into something like that, man, there's always a question on if the people who are writing about, metaphysics or writing about spirituality or esotericism, where they're getting their sources from, what they're actually speaking about, if it's going to be truth or so and so. And I feel like when you practice and when you're really aligned and tapped into a line of discernment, you're able to feel the aura and the energy of people to whether you can find out or know if they're organic or genuine. And right off the bat, for me shaking hands with these guys and having like a 5 to 10 minute conversation, I knew off the bat that what they were speaking about and what they were talking about in this book, or just through general conversation, they're tapped in and they're in the know. So I've been able to keep in contact with these guys for a while. There's a lot of things that we're gonna do in the future, of course, but I'm honored and blessed to have Dan on tonight to represent their team, to be able to chat it up about everything solar, man. So I appreciate you, Dan, and I appreciate you being here, man. And just give the people an introduction of who you are and who the other guys are, just to give some type of background.
Absolutely. And also, I'd say thank you so much for your kind words.
Yeah,
That
bro.
painted a perfect picture for there. And I'm extremely happy to be here representing my team. This is another wonderful opportunity just to, grow the circle more, and that's really what it's all about. So a little bit about me and the team. We actually started this project 3 years ago, and it kind of predates that, but 3.5 years ago, we had a critical moment where we decided, hey, you know what? Put our heads together. Let's start growing our own brand. We didn't quite know exactly what we were going to get into, but as time went on, we figured out that our niche was going to be deeply rooted in philosophy, esotericism, et cetera, et cetera. And from there, we just flourished, and we started going events that you also go to as well, Caesar, and that's why that's why we're here today.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Yeah, man. And it's one of those things where I look at it and I see that there is a spiritual community out here in Charlotte or in the surrounding areas, for people to not feel like they're crazy or to, you know what I mean, for wherever they may be going through. There are people who have already been through those things that they may be going through, those thoughts that they are skeptic about, or they may be having thoughts about. There are so many people out here, man, to connect with. And the more you start to talk to people, the more you realize everyone on this planet is connected, bro.
100%. 100.
It's crazy.
I love what you said before about it's all about health, or a lot of it has to do with health, because it is just like it's not just your physical health, which is extremely important, as you industry focused around with the juicing, which is amazing. When you let us try those samples, man, guys, so juice,
Right.
so good. But what's also important is health, and I think that's something that a lot of people sometimes are misguided on, or get pushed in a different direction, and they don't really know where to turn to. You really have to humble yourself and take a step outside your comfort zone and go and do some research on your own. Go and look into these things, look into better ways to better the mind, body, and soul, and you will have more peace in your life.
Mm. No,
And
that's a bar. That's so true, man. And it's disclaimer. Anything we say on this live tonight, man, research yourself. go go and
and that,
do the research, man.
yeah, and that's like a big proponent of the way we paint our book. And I'm a co-writer of this lovely text here next to me. Matt is the mastermind behind this. Thank
Right.
you, Matt. I'm sure when you watch it, but I think what people need to understand is that people of the past, just to kind of preface the book a little bit, the ancient of millennia ago, essentially, they were wise and they knew a lot of this information that we have today. They just wrote it in a different manner, which is kind of what sprinkled into all the religious texts that we have today.
Yeah.
You have to kind of pick through them to see that they're all telling this beautiful story of the hero's journey. They're all telling the same story of a conqueror or somebody who has been suffering, either Christ or Naja or Odin. You have all these different people who had to face obstacles in their life to go and conquer not only their inner demons but the external world, the world about action and getting stuff done and growing a company, growing a brand, growing a business, all of it. So that is that's kind of a little snippet about our book here.
And just to preface that, man, just to plug it, man, of course, because we definitely want to do that. Like, the name of the book is Synthesis on Human History and Spirituality, right? You have the book with you?
Yeah, I do. Here, I'll
for sure. Definitely show the people, man. Like, crazy. I'm telling y'all, when I first saw that book, I was like, I've never seen a book designed like that, first off. And I asked them, I was like, who did it? They were like, we did it. We did everything. And, anytime I hear that as an entrepreneur, I'm like, yeah, that's a go,
Kind words there, brother. Yeah, this is
crazy.
Here on the cover, all the different.
Ooh, man.
It has Jesus Christ here, the secret 13 has the tree of life, and the Kabbalah as well, all intertwined. So,
man, and I definitely want to get into a lot of that tonight, man. So, like, just speaking about what you were tapping in on earlier, like, energy is a big thing.
Yes.
Right? And we're all connected on this planet, whether we realize it or not, whether race, color, creed. It's like the mycelium network. Everything is connected. Everything on the ground is connected. As above, so below. We're all connected on this planet, right? And with that, we're all having like a very spiritual experience that is manifested into a physical body, right?
Absolutely.
We are completely spiritual beings first, with a spacesuit, pretty much.
Exactly. Right? That's spot on. People need to know that, yes, we're given this physical body, and the physical body is equally as important as your mental and spiritual form. You need to be living in a balance and tandem with both. This is the true pathway to whatever, however you want to call it, but God is the cosmic energy that is all encompassing around all of us. This is the pathway back to Him when you master these two forms, and will eventually go back to the Creator, which is, interestingly enough, it's the divine masculine and feminine energy working together. It's not one or the other. It's this beautiful dance, really.
Man, that's and it's crazy because you hear about that. You'll hear that term a lot, like the dance, right? And you'll hear people like the dance of life, or when people get to the championship game, they're going to the big dance, right? When you look at that, it kind of resembles like the caduceus, right? Right? Or if you're looking at that, yin and yang, masculine, feminine, things like that. And one does not work without the other, or one cannot be in full balance without the other, right? And a lot of times it takes for us to go through life, and it takes for us time to develop, or for us to go through these crucial points in life to be able to have that click moment, right? Or have that scenario where you're like, something's not right, man. Let me question this, So, like, since you guys have been, you told me like you guys have been friends since like childhood, which is like, to me, is a form of like that balance, because when you're on that linear path, or even if it's not linear, if you're like here, most of the time you're not going to have those friends that ride with you up until through adulthood. A lot of people come, a lot of people go. You progress out of certain patterns, out of certain mind states and energies with people, and there may not be hard feelings, but a lot of times we keep those circles small, or even if you're big, it's kind of hard to connect with people. But you guys have been connected since childhood. Like, how did that happen, bro?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of a long story, but I'll give you the snapshot of it. You know, really our childhood came with. It's interesting how you mentioned that. You know, the path is kind of up and down as you go
Yeah,
through. You people come and go. Well, there were times where even within our own friend group, you know, we were at a distant, you know, but always we would always reconvene, and we kept getting brought back to each other, and like this cyclical rhythm of major life events from, you know, from 5 years old all the way to now to nearing 30. So
yeah,
um, you know, kind of going through those motions along the way, the fact that we kept rejoining each other, really, we knew it was meaningful, we knew it meant something, and we knew that God was telling us this to work with one another and continue to grow out of our old habits and flourish into something new. But the story really, I mean, you know, we were in school together. We had a lot of the similar teachers. We had a very similar friend group. And I think what really brought us together is the fact that oftentimes throughout, I don't know, the good old high school years, or however you want to call it, we saw see through the veil then. We started to see the drama and the labels that people wanted to put on one another, and we weren't about that. We just wanted to kind of love everybody and be welcoming to other
yeah,
people.
yeah. No, that's key, man. When was it that you had like that that click for you? How did it happen? Did it like click at the same time for you guys, being that you are also close, or like what was that experience for you like in life? How did it come to that?
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting. So great question. I think for each of us, it kind of happened uh, individually, and one day we ended up getting brought back together, kind of venting to each other on the same problems that we were going through in life, and we said, you know what, this
Mm,
isn't the way. You know, we shouldn't give in to some of the uh, degenerate activities of other people, you know, around our age, such as, you know, partying too much, drinking
yeah,
too much, whatever it might be. So we said, you know, let's get away from this and start to figure out what is really going to give a meaningful life. And the thing that I think really brought us together and put us on this path is that we wanted to seek the truth about things. We know that there's things that people in this world don't talk about for a reason, and it really it holds the collective down. So
man.
that's just a little bit about kind of what really brought us together,
Mm.
honestly.
Nah, that's epic, man. And I think it's interesting because I realized that when I was not so much about the collective, but I had that experience of knowing that it's more to this life than just what we see
Mhm.
physically, right, on the 3D realm, more than what we see like as a kid, right? And it's like you'll have people who, like even in the spiritual community that we seem to be attached to and tied to in some aspect, you have people who are like Reiki healers or practitioners, and people who are working with energy fields and are mediums, and so many different things, man, are just creative that can see something, or visionaries and just draw it out like crazy, or can are master storytellers, can write and type whatever. It's just amazing. Like one of those things that came to my head was like when I was a kid, I was able to always see like into the spiritual realm, right?
Mhm.
For most people, you would say that, and people would think, "Oh, it's crazy! Like, what the hell? Like, what was going on with you, buddy? Like, you know, like we see the movies. Like as a kid, we see the movie Sixth Sense, right? And if you haven't seen that and you're like in your 20s and 30s, go back and do a little, get your movie game up. You know what I'm saying? The Sixth Sense was a crazy movie. And it was this kid who like could see like dead people pretty much, but he could see into the spiritual world, right? And as a kid, I would be able to see, not verbatim like how he was, but I would be able to see like um, people's spirits instead of their physical, right? So I always knew that there was something more to this world than it was just this, right?
Sure.
Like even today, like when I shake people's hands, and it kind of resonated when I met you guys, like even in general, all day. That's why I have to be very careful about who I'm able to like be around and be around in the energy field and be able to give energy to, because I can shake somebody's hand and I can instantly like feel whether I'm supposed to be communicating with this person or not, or what their vibe is like, right? And I feel like most people on a basic level can kind of have that sense of like, the vibe here isn't not good, or it's good, or there may be some people who are completely like their first eye is completely like blocked to that, you know? And so seeing that there's more and more people as you get older, that it doesn't go away, you know,
Mhm.
it actually increases the amount of people that may have that ability or may have other different types of abilities, increases, like, is amazing. And it lets you know that we're not just humans,
Mm.
you know, we're not just
Something.
human beings that are here to like work a 9 to 5, that are here to just live and die. You know, we have purpose, um, we have impact, we have stain on this world that will never be erased, you know? And so meeting you guys and being able to listen to your podcast, which is an amazing podcast for who all have not been knowledgeable about Psycosmos or been able to know who they are, please check them out on YouTube. Their podcast is crazy. Um, they talk about some amazing topics, and you know, they're very highly vibrational. So I can sense that through you guys too, man.
Oh,
And
absolutely. I mean, just,
amazing thing.
and I kind of want to tee off of something you said here. You know,
Please.
you mentioned that, you know, there was you've had a spiritual breakthrough when you were younger. I don't think it is a coincidence that
Mm,
we brought together, that we met you at Soul Expo, and immediately start talking about everything from
yeah.
all of it. So it's a interesting conjoining of the forces and I think what that really is that's the ethereal realm really kind of breaking through, and it's pushing us together. You know, it gives me chills to talk about it, but that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, man. And ironically, the last event that we did in Mooresville at the Soul Wellness, you guys were there too. But it was funny because I was telling Matt, I was like, and this was before I even know you guys were going to be there. I didn't know you guys were going to be there until I got there, right?
Mm.
And I think I told you guys this. I was in my bag of like listening to podcasts, mad crazy the whole week, and leading up to that event, I just think some messages came through, and it was like I was cleaning. I was going through business cards that I've gotten from people from over the last year in events, and I found you guys' card. And ironically, you had popped up as like a recommendation on YouTube like earlier that week. So that
Mm.
means that you guys are doing something that you're supposed to on your YouTube channel, right? First, so you guys popped up, and I was like, bet I'm gonna check in with them. And then I found the card, and so I was like, oh shit, like, all
It's
right, so, all right. I was like, cool. Like, let me listen to one of their podcasts.
Mm.
And on the way up to the event, I was listening to the Sacred Secretion episode, right? And I listened to it, and then I listened to the larger episode where you had the I forget her name, the lady who actually wrote the book that was speaking about such.
Yes, Kelly Marie Kerr.
Kelly Murray Kerr. Check her out too, man. I was listening to that episode, and mind blowing. Let me tell you, mind blowing, right? Then I started to unpack the truck to go in to get ready to vend, and Matt walks up. And I'm like, huh? So I was like, okay, cool. He was moving with a quickness though, so I wasn't able to flag him down or whatever. So I get in the setup, and then an hour goes by, and then he walks by again. And I'm like, yo, like, I gotta tap in with you, bro. Like, this is not a coincidence that we're seeing each other again. Boom, boom. Henceforth, now you guys are on the pod. You guys are on live, and I want to get on the podcast and all of these things. But it's like the connection,
That's
just
right.
like everything is connected, man. And no matter what in this life, if you are living in truth and purpose, man, things will come to you the way they're supposed to, bro. The way they're supposed to. So tapping in on the sacred secretion. Sorry, I need to pause for a second.
No worries.
Tapping in on the sacred secretion, man. Like, talk to us about that for a quick second.
mean, I love that. I love that you brought this up right now. It fits in so perfectly here. Interestingly enough, remember the stories that I was mentioning in the beginning, how they all, all religions of the world have this story about a great conqueror who goes out into the world and conquers the beast on the outside world as well as their inner demons to
Yeah.
become become a hero. So these stories were actually written based off of a biological and physiological process that occurs within the body once per month, or at least we believe. The body has these natural ways of healing itself. You heal a cut on your leg. You can the human body is this marvelous thing that could just heal itself and regenerate itself if you give it the nutrients it needs, and if you are mentally in line with the spiritual realm, God, however you want to put it. It's all the same for everybody. So the reason why I bring up this story here and why it's so important is because when your body goes through this process once per month, it's typically when the the moon is in your sun sign.
Yeah.
When the moon is in your sun sign, you releases this chemical that tells your body you're about to undergo this process, and it travels down your spinal column. The most important thing that spinal column, you could think of it as a tree of stretches in direction all throughout your body, and it travels down your spine the same way that Naja travels down into the ocean to slay the beast. It travels down your spine to your sacral pump, where it meets with this other chemical that your body releases to essentially regulate when you're about to go through this process. If you are living in, and this is very important what I'm about to say, as I mentioned, if you're living in tandem with with the spiritual energy, as well as giving your body the nutrients it needs, that chemical will mix with the one that gets sent down, and it will get sent back up your spine to your brain, illuminating your brain. And this is where you get a bunch of different phrases, but the one most popular is your cup runneth over, and your
Yeah.
third, you've reached enlightenment, essentially. And this is actually a process that we all practice here at Team Psycosmos, and we would like to do more research on in the future. But I tell you, I've been practicing this for really a year and a half at its peak. I practiced it prior to that, but this past year and a half, I've been really into it. And you feel like you have more energy. You feel better. You feel emotionally better. You feel spiritually better. It really does help.
Mm. And what's the in your experience, like, what's the best way to be able to tap into that without like the moon being aligned and certain things having where your sign, your horoscope, and like astrology and stuff like that? What's the best way to tap
I'm
into it?
really glad you said that, and I'll tell you. They want to know the real secret, and it's different for males and females. But one of the best things that you can do alongside a good diet and meditation and prayer is conserving your sexual energy,
Ooh.
specifically for men and women. It's a little bit different, but the goal is to, you want to, because think about it, right? that down low, where all cardinal energy is, it's right in your sacral area. It's right in your genital area. You want to conquer your desires. You want to conquer things that your you know, the lust and desire for alcohol and drugs. You want to conquer that. When you do, when you conquer this, it essentially increases your consciousness.
Man.
It allows you to start to break through, and you will start to see, as you mentioned earlier, you'll see people's auras. You can tell the energy that they give off. So that is really something that I think everybody should be practicing, because especially in today's society, Caesar, I'll tell you this, and I want to know what you think about it, because
For sure.
I've realized recently that there is a lot of societal pressure for people to just give into their desires, you know, give into their sexual desires, and it's really being pushed on everybody right now. I feel in the media, in movies and shows, everything's all about sex. And if you do that, when I know this is really kind of deep here, but when men ejaculate, that's your essence, that's your life essence, that's your sexual energy, that's in your spine. And when you just set it off, it goes out into the essentially you're just wasting it. It goes out into another. But anyway, sorry, I'm rambling, I'm getting heated, but I'd like to know kind of.
Nah, man, you're not rambling, bro. It's listen, man, it's so like essentially one of the practices that has been a big topic over the last like 3 to 4 years is like semen retention, right? Mm-hmm. And so for men, that's kind of like the same aspect, right? It's like it's almost speaking about like the Kundalini rising, like your Kundalini energy, right? And it's kind of like what we talked about with the caduceus and everything like that. How we have the chakras in our system. We have originally they're like aligned in our spine. So we have, and I want to touch on this too. So this is going to be a good segue. So like we have the chakras, we have our energy, our life force, as you say. And I feel that it is very important for all men, whether you're married, whether you're single, whether you're just coming into manhood, to be able to practice this for a certain period of time, because it does allow for you to be able to transmute that energy, that sacral energy, to be able to be more creative, to focus more, to be able to be in the gym. You know what I'm saying? To work out. How many of us, you know, are craving desires at late at night or whatever it comes, and you don't have a vital option to be able to divert from that. You know what I'm saying? I was taught as a kid, when you have some of those desires, do push-ups. Mm-hmm. Wow, drop down and do push-ups, or go to the gym.
That is wise words. I wish I had the same.
You know what I'm saying? And not saying that always worked. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna lie to you, but I think it's something to be spoken about more in depth to the younger generation, and to men that are still struggling with focus and desires and things like that, man. And I think learning about the sacred secretion and learning about your first eye, like what I like to call it, instead of third eye, because that's kind of like putting it on the back burner. Because in reality, when you're born, when you're in conception and you're being created, this is the first eye that is created, and then everything else comes into formation, right? Which is, it's crazy to even think about like that, right? So I think that that's something that's very vital for men, and just to be able to tap into that. But what I was gonna say, when we're speaking about like the chakras and everything, right, and your energy field and your energy in your aura, right? Numbers are very, very important. And numbers, man didn't create numbers, right? As Nikola Tesla said, men did not create mathematics. Mathematics was here and we discovered it, right? Or we came across it in some shape, form, or fashion, right? And so for Nikola Tesla, he's one of those beings super highly vibrational that probably will never be duplicated or reincarnated back to this planet. I mean, shoot, he might be back now. Who knows? But his thing was 3, 6, and 9, right? Which he says are the keys to the universe. You know, if you duplicate, you know, 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, and you
Mm.
multiply those in different formations, you'll always come back to 3, 6, and 9, right? Um, so in saying that, for us, our body is made up of mathematics. Everything we have in our body is mathematics. You count it with digits, everything like that, right? So for our chakra centers, we have 7 of those, right? So from what you guys have talked about in the book and what you guys have talked about on your podcast, like give us the breakdown and the significance of the number 7 and the number 12 and how that kind of relates to what we were speaking about earlier as far as like how it affects our body.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Great question. And beautifully said, by the way, everything you said earlier. So within the body, you have the different systems. You actually have, I believe it's 12 cranial nerves in your brain. So, you have 12 cranial nerves in your brain that correlate to the 12 zodiacal signs, you know, plus Jesus Christ, you know, the magical 13 sign, the seven, systems of your body. I don't know if I can anatomically name them all, but
Right.
it's nervous system, it's all the different system, you know, it's your digestive system, it's all the different systems within your body. And fun fact, it's also why you have things like why 7 has always been coined as a magic number, because it's written into many of the religious stories. And of course, right now, when I need one, my mind's drawing a blank, but they're there. I promise you, if you go
For
and look.
sure. The Bible, for one, I mean, that's the most prevalent one we know about, right? Is the Bible. Yeah.
So I love that you bring up numbers, because you're absolutely right. Everything has this number system to it, especially the body. Um, and you know, it's cool too, because you could think of everything in the body as electricity and magnetism, because salt is electric, and when you have salt passing through different barriers to regulate your systems, that's all electric energy right in your body. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. And that's why, you know, when you know, look at the food you eat, you should really be mentalizing, what is this going to do for me? And a lot of people are like, no, I'm just eating for purpose and pleasure. And no, you have to know what you're putting into your body. And beyond that, I'll say this too. You know, something that is a really good practice is praying over your food and drink.
Woo.
And because what you're doing is you're giving that positive energy to the food you're about to consume or the beverage you're about to drink, and it will change the structure of specifically liquids. They actually did a test on this. If you read about it, go on the internet, and they did an experiment where you had people pray over the water and then not pray over the water, and they gave it to plants, and guess which plants grew. Yeah. So that's just you know, it's something worth thinking about. And here's what I'll also say: a lot of people out there right now, they might be in a weird place, and they might think to themselves, I don't know how to pray, I don't know how to do this. Well, do you know how to be happy? Do you know how to congratulate a family member on something? Do you know how to help somebody? If you replicate those energies when you pray, that's how you do it. If you're looking for somewhere to start, um, you know, and that's just something I want the whole world to know.
Yeah, man. And I think that's kind of just like living in a form of gratitude. And usually I start each episode with like one thing that we're grateful for. So we just got straight to it today, but I'm grateful for that information right there because it's, and I think I said this on the last one that I did, it's like the more and more, the more and more you start to realize that more and more people are coming into this knowledge, the more you realize how actual it is, right? And you see these experiments from science, whether it's like what did they say when I was in school? They called it secular science, right? They
Yep.
call it secular science, or if it's like theological science or whatever type of science you want to put it on, right? Um, you can do these experiments with something as simple as water, right? And water is everything, right? It's in the words that we speak. It's in our skin, the largest organ. It's in the foods that should be in the foods that we eat, a higher concentration of water. And it's kind of like what you were saying, like when you pray, or even if you speak positive intentions, or if you, I do this a lot with my food, man. I try to transmute the energy into from my diaphragm into from my chakras and bring it up and bring it into my hands, and I literally put it over the food and I can feel the vibration. And I did this a couple of times when I was first coming into my spiritual journey, man, and I realized how amazing energy is, right? So what I did was I would transmute that energy over to the food, right? And I would hold it over the food literally for like a good minute, for as long as your prayer would go, right? And I would just say like, or I would talk to God and I would be like, God, if this food is something that I'm supposed to eat, let me know, right? Instead of automatically assuming that this food is what I'm supposed to eat, and no matter if it's a yes or no, I'm going to consume it, right? So it's kind of like you're sinning against your body, right? And I like to say sinning, going into theology, right, is something that goes against yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you feel that goes against yourself and that's going to do harm to yourself, that's sinning, right? So if you know in your mind, in your mind's eye, I dedicated myself for this week that I was going to eat good, and I'm out here eating bullshit, and I'm going to pray over it, and it's going to be good when I ingest it, stop. You know better. You know what I'm saying? So, like, for me, I would more so, like, even if I knew the food was good that I was about to eat, right, I would pray over it because I don't know what goes on behind the scenes before it comes out to me. So there's like 4 or 5 different parties that happens before it even gets to my table. You know what I'm saying? So I'm
Yep.
bringing that energy for that.
Mm-hmm.
Not if I know the food is gonna be good, because I'm trying to do my best. But everything else that happens before it even gets to me,
Right.
I gotta bring that energy towards that. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, because you know what? We need to localize things more, you know. We
Woo.
need to be more local. And you know, I love how you mentioned how, you know, right before people do make that sin, it's like it starts with a thought. So, and I just actually read this quote from it was actually a very well-renowned rabbi. I can't remember his name, but it's basically like he says this. He says the only thing worse than a sin is the thought before you do it.
Ooh.
You know, if you know what you're about to do is bad, it means that you knew it and then you did it. So it was just a little side bit there, but I love what you said because you know what,
Mm.
I'm the food industry specifically. It's like we need to localize. We need to source from geographical locations that are right in
Yeah.
our own yard. We need to grow these communities up, man. There is so much land out there in the Midwest just waiting for people to go and till it and build communities. Instead, people are packing themselves in these tiny boxes of skyscrapers from the first floor to the top floor
Yeah,
and
man.
going there sitting under fluorescent lights every day. It's like, what do you think this is doing to people? Like, get outside, enjoy the sun, and enjoy life. And
Yeah.
I said before is so spot on, man. It's about being humble and being grateful, and that is where people, I think, miss the most because they're not grateful when they should be. You should. People complain about little mishaps here at grocery stores or wherever else. It's like you should be thankful that you have a grocery store to walk into, or you
Man.
should be thankful that you have a place to sleep at night. Um, so I think that's where a lot of people sin and miss the mark.
Yeah, man. And it's really just one of those things to evaluate where it's like, if you feel like it's going against yourself, man, and that's the one thing, like tapping in and having that inner knowledge of self, of who you are, is one of the most vital and important things that you're ever going to come into realization of on this planet, right? Because when you find out who you are, that's the beginning of life.
Mm.
That's the beginning of life. Not everything that happened beforehand.
That's
It's
true.
right when you come into the realization of what you're supposed to be doing on this planet is when you realize my life begins, because now you got a fucking journey ahead of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so just like experiencing that. But where are you guys from? Are you guys from the same place?
Yeah, so we all grew up in South Central New York. It was a small area, well, pretty big area,
That's like, wow.
about 40 minutes north of New York City. So it was a kind of a suburban town.
Nice, nice. And how is it out there? Like, is it like a huge community out there when it comes to like what you guys do now, or how was it like growing up in that environment out there?
I would say it was probably pretty far and few between, especially in that area. Sure, it had its spiritual elements at times, but not as much as here, I'll say. Not nearly as much as here in Charlotte.
Yeah, it's the Bible Belt down here, man.
Hey, that's good. I mean, it's people, people need to find what works for them, and I think, there's wisdom to be drawn from all the religious texts because people spent hundreds of years, thinking about it. So they're definitely worth reading regardless of what your background is. And I think
True.
you do that, people, they find the real truth for themselves. And that is kind of how spirituality began to flourish, I think.
Facts, facts. And so, like, even touching on that, right? A lot of us kind of grow up with that mind state or with the introduction of spirituality, uh, with the introduction of spirituality through religion.
Mhm.
Let's say that. But a lot of times the spirituality part is kind of like religion to the forefront, right? And it's kind of taken an aspect of even here, like growing up here for a long time, like went to uh, the last two high schools I went to were Christian high schools, were private schools, you know what I'm saying? Um, and it's one of those things where you'll get a gang of information thrown at the thrown at your feet, and it's kind of like digested.
It,
We're gonna
it,
quiz you on it, this and that, and it's not more so like they're taking you through the process of like finding yourself. It's like you need to know this, and it's like God dang, like
you're
it's
You're spot on, Brody. Like 100%. And think about it this way too, right? Like when you're a youthful child, you're curious about the world. You see things as they are, and you see things in a very magical way. That's why children are so spiritually powerful because they come directly from the source. They're right there. When you get to your like middle school years, you're approaching teenhood, you have everything just being thrown and forced at you.
yeah,
And what that does to you is, you have science is kind of thrown at these people in a very unfortunate way. I'm not trying to discredit science. It's very important. We're thankful that we have it, that we've
yeah,
discovered it. Um, but all these things are thrown at you right in these prime years for discovering yourself, and you have all these out to get you. Everything's trying to label you, and that pushes people, as you just said, Caesar. It pushes people to a more agnostic and an atheistic viewpoint. And I would never say anyone couldn't believe what they believe. That is something very personal,
yeah,
but still a lot of people fall into that realm are like that because of external forces that have brought them there.
yeah, man. Agendas, that's facts. That's
Yeah,
facts. Of course, because of agendas, man. And it's you look in this life, everything has an agenda. Everything's identification, right? Like you need to identify with this so we can know how to categorize you in this life, right? Instead of just saying, I am a universal being, right?
mm,
I am everything, I am everywhere. My DNA is encoded in me from every race on this planet,
that's
right?
right.
I don't need any more identification than that. right? I have the codes in my DNA to astral plane, to actually go to different dimensions, to tap into different light codes. Like, that's the identification right there. Like, I don't need a title placed upon me that can actually, I can denounce that title. I can't denounce being uh, a spiritual being. I can't announce being a light being. I can't announce all of those things. So it's like, when there are agendas set out for division, man, they're gonna get you as soon as you come out the womb, man. They're gonna tell you, oh, because you live in Saudi Arabia, you're a Muslim. You don't even get the choice. You know what I'm saying? It's just placed upon you. And you're in America, you're Christian or you're Catholic or you're, whatever your parents decide to be. You don't even really get the choice to decide on what you want.
Sure.
And it's very unfortunate, man. And it's kind of like goes into like the topic I was wanting to talk about. Is like more so talking about like ancient religions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And going into the cradle of civilization,
Right.
or even before civilization in certain areas, like we're talking about like Babylon, in certain ancient Sumeria and things of that sort, right? And
Right.
you kind of have this is no spooky stuff, but this is just real because it's all been recorded. You know what I'm saying? You have these ancient civilizations or these ancient beings that have been shown to be super, super highly intellectual, highly technological, to the point that we can't duplicate anything, right? We don't even know where it comes from in reality because it's hundreds of thousands of years ago. Um, but a lot of religion likes to make you believe that everything's happened only within a 6,000 year period or 4,000 year period, which sounds crazy.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's why people need to look at the wisdom in the religious text from a much more metaphorical sense and pull out the story that is there. As I mentioned, the hero's journey. But I think a lot of people, they just kind of get too like gridlocked because of upbringing. They don't really know how to break out of it, and it just becomes routine for them. And that's, you know, for some people it works, but for others like myself, it certainly did not. Um,
Right.
and it's I think people need to keep that in mind when having conversations about different viewpoints. So
Yeah, man. And it's like nothing wrong to have your foundations. Like, you're free. That's the beauty of this world and this nation that we live in. Like, you're free. You have that free will. You know, and the one thing that you have on this planet, two things that you have on this planet that most people you can't really take away is your free will and what you're destined to do on this planet, right? And so you have that, you have your purpose, and then you have your free will to decide if you actually want to do that or not, right? And so with religion, a lot of times it'll pigeonhole you because it makes you want to believe in certain ways of in which they want you to go. And it's not saying you still can't do those things, but your POV will be like completely different, right? And it's crazy then because like last week I was in Guatemala, right? And I tried to post as much stuff as possible, but I wanted to keep so much stuff like hitting and under wraps, bro, because it was a highly vibrational place down there, man. And I don't have you traveled overseas? Have you traveled overseas internationally or anything like that before?
yes, it was in February 18. I was in China for the volunteer program to
Or
care. Yeah, that was years ago.
wow, man. How was that?
It was culture shell shock. But it was interesting because I was very nervous when going, but by the time the plane landed, I said, okay, I'm in for this journey now. I'm locked in. I just have to go with it and just keep an open mind. And I did exactly that, and it turned out to be wonderful.
Man, that's literally one of the things I said to myself when I was on that plane, bro. It was like never even traveling to Central America before, right? And being there with so many different people and not really knowing how to even speak the language fluently, like how I felt like the whole trip, I felt like I need to know how to speak Spanish. I need to know how to do, right? But just basic human instinct and basic uh, human connection with others that don't, they'll see you in one glimpse of life and they'll never see you again. They understand how to communicate with you, right? They understand how to communicate with you. So language barrier is a big thing. Other thing is identification, like what we speak, right? So you'll have identification in the form of phenotypes, where it comes with like facial recognition, right? People will see certain characteristics on you and they'll be like, oh my gosh, are you from here? Are you from, womb womb? Or they'll see your locks, or they'll see your hair, or they'll see your skin color, and they'll automatically feel comfortable with you, or they'll automatically feel some type of connection to you, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of those things were able to align when I was down there. But one of the things that stood out to me the most being down there and kind of tying it back to like the ancient civilization aspect was when I went to go see the pyramids, bro, in this place called Flores, Guatemala, which is in Tikal, right? And they spoke about how Tikal was like the birthplace of the Mayan civilization in Guatemala. But it's actually, I mean, I think it's that as well too, but I think their sister birthplace is in Mexico, is in Mexico City, right? At Tia, how do you think? Tia Tichu, it's coming to me. Teotihuacan, Mexico, right? And so that's another place where the pyramids are huge out there, right? And so they were teaching us all of these things when I went on the tour, and you would kind of see these huge, large pyramids that were like hard to conceptualize, or how to even build that by hand, with no cranes, no lifts, no ramps, damn near no tools besides obsidian knives and machetes that they created from the minerals.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow they were able to create these temples that were hundreds of feet high, these pyramids that were hundreds of feet high, right? That used to be coated with limestone, all of these things, right? And you see some of these temples and they're covered up by trees. And you
Mm-hmm.
realize how much deforestation has happened over the last hundreds and hundreds of years,
Right.
because um, they had to cut down a lot of these trees to be able to have resources for themselves. And then you have explorers who come in who are there to excavate and do all of these things, and they kind of like ruin the environment too. But in saying that, like the pyramids and the structures that they have built there are phenomenal. And some of the stories that they gave us, from the touristy stories that they would tell us, because they probably were just like, oh, this is all we need to spoon feed them, and da 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 da, right? They would say some of these temples, because there were pyramids and then there were these temples that were just as large as the pyramids, but they were just super high temples, right?
Right.
And have like a platform at the top where you would climb up the top, and the people who were the spiritual leaders of that time, like the let's say like the priest or the shamans or the elders of the community, were the only ones who were allowed to go up at the top of these temples.
Right.
And so they would go at the top of these temples, and they would be the ones ordained to be able to uh, utilize astronomy, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
astrology, to have that know-how, to be able
Wow.
to stand at the top of these structures and look into the Milky Way galaxy and see the planets rotating, because there was so much less light pollution,
Right.
uh, cloud pollution, whatever you want to call it, right? And a lot of these people would look at these people, these shamans and these leaders, as gods in a sense,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And you see that parallel brought back into westernized society today with some of the religions, where they say, like Catholics, how they look at
Yeah.
the cardinals and these things, and they're
It's
like, they're the
the
only ones who can talk to God. And it's like, what?
yep. Same reason why you have science, the practice, and you have science. same reason, you know. I mean, you said it perfectly, that the elders of those communities, they were the ones with the access. They were the ones up there on the pyramids looking at the sky and pondering it. They're the ones bringing the information down to everybody. So that's something everybody should do, is look up at the sky.
Woo, look up. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's important. It's important. And fun fact is, all that cosmic energy, when you let it into your retina, it's sending you information. That light is all information, and your body then you know, processes it and does different things with it. It boosts your intuition. You know, you'll pick up on different things by letting that energy in. And that same, you know, is cool. We were talking about how it's a cosmic dance up there, and it really
Yeah.
is. And it's a dance. It's a music. It's a song. There's a rhythm to it. And the reason why that's so important to point out is because there's a cycle to it. There's a pattern to it, and because there's a pattern to it, human beings can break it down and talk about it in a scientific way. And it's important to note that, you know, I mean, you have these great musicians from all over the world that play songs, right? They're playing that. They're playing the sounds of the universe and what's up there. And that's why it resonates so strong when you hear a song where a you know, somebody strikes that chord just right. You feel that vibration inside of you, and that tells you a story about something. And that's something that, you know, people need to be in tune with. And here's the other crazy thing is this, Caesar, I'll share this with you. You know, a lot of people look at life as, you know, there's a beginning, and you know, which there is, and the people say, oh well, the start of my life is you know, it's the most important, or good things only happen here, or I peaked when I was in high school, whatever it might be. It's like, no, your life should be thought of in terms of a dance or a song, because it is not one part of it that is more important than the other, because any part that you take out, it wouldn't make it the full song, the full dance that it is. And that's a fun snippet from the philosopher Alan Watts, who is just great. I'm sure.
Bro, Alan Watts is epic, man. He's epic.
Chilling.
Man. And nah, that's facts, man. And it's like the energy. So one thing, yeah, that's a beautiful analogy for real. One thing that I've realized that is very important for us to be able to receive that cosmic energy, right? We're able to receive that energy that has us pushing throughout the day, is grounding, right? And for those who don't know what grounding is, it's like you can either do it at night, or you can do it at any time of the day, really. But they say the most vital times are when the sun is coming up and when the sun is going down, right? Because the sun really is just a ball of cosmic information, right? So the sun gives out rays that has is just concentrated carbon, and it comes down and everybody receives the carbon, right, which is considered melanin, right? And all of the other rays that we get are just literally light codes, right? And so the biggest conductor that we have is planet Earth, right? Because it has iron, it has copper, it has titanium, vibranium, whatever mythical thing you want to use, obsidian, whatever, on calcium, whatever mineral that we have on this planet, and minerals we have in the sky from comets or whatever else, have all been formulated into the crust of the earth for us to live on every day, right? So if those things are able to heat up and be able to receive that cosmic information by us taking off these plastic shoes, these things that kind of like block our connection to planet Earth, if we take those things off and connect with the planet, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, 2 minutes. If you do that soon as you rise, man, you will
It's
feel a difference.
that is, you give me chills, brother, because it's so true, and people need to realize that, hundreds of years ago, the ancients weren't constantly surrounded by all this electric technology, all this all this energy. Um, and the fact that you bring up grounding is so great, because what that's going to do is it's going to help people become more in tune with their primordial self. Get your bare feet on the ground. Unlock that divine masculine and divine feminine energy for all people, men and women. And that's important too, because when you're a man, you need to also balance the feminine side,
Yeah.
or else you become too enraged. And if you're a female and you don't take any masculine, you become overly nurturing, and then you smother. Both parties, you got to take a little bit from that, and balance it out, and you'll unlock more of that primordial energy that I had just mentioned, from as you said, grounding. So important. People don't
Yeah.
get.
And it's not something we're taught. You know what I
No.
mean? Like I didn't learn this when I was a kid. Shit. I mean, I was always barefoot as a kid, but that's the thing. That is the thing, because when you're a kid and you're growing up, just like you said, kids are so pure. They're like literally light beings. And that's the reason why these organizations and things like that target kids, because they have such a strong energy. Like, they're able to see without any blockages. They're able to feel. They're able to be as organic and honest as possible. And we're some of our most vibrant selves when we're kids, man. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the things that we did as kids that we loved, that somehow we get stripped out of still wanting to be. You could have been jumping on your trampoline and loved it so much, and you were like, I'm gonna be a gymnast when I get older. And some guy comes up to you and say, man, that's being a gymnast, that's gay.
Yep.
And you're like, what? That's gay. And it's
Hell,
like, okay, well, if that's gay, then I'm not gonna be a gymnast. And that could have been your calling.
right.
You know what I'm saying? And just that example of allowing people to determine which way you move in life and which way you're able to shift or sail your boat based off of the opinions of others, or what they may not be able to do, or what they may be able to do but they don't want you to do, is a sin against yourself.
Yep, that's it. And it's all string pulling. That's what it all is. They're trying to pull everybody's strings, and that's why the world is the way it is right now. But the silver lining, I would say, is moments like this where you get to sit down, have as you had mentioned earlier, a genuine conversation with somebody that shares this knowledge, and we're really going to be the ones to pick up the torch of truth and carry it into the future and help
Man,
people.
no,
That's
it's interesting. It's like the time is now, man. And I tell people quite often, man, when I talk, whether it's family or something, like, you know, the past, the present, and the future are all happening right now. You know what I'm saying? And it's so many different timelines, and they're all happening now. So we really, every day is a day where we're able to determine how great we want to be, how we impact other people, how we're able to learn. You should be learning something every day, bro. Like, learn something every day. Continue to, just like, yeah, just delicious flames. Being connected to the creator will allow you to deter other humans string pulling. Facts.
What a comment. That is, man, that is such a great comment for the kind person that left that. That is so well said, and such a
Good stuff, B.
uh, sentence there. That's
Yeah, man.
exactly what a note to kind of bring this all together on, I think. And that's the thing. That the world can be a very dark place at times, but the silver lining and the light that shines through is moments like this. I mean, really, this is what is going to change the future for our children and the further generations to come.
Yeah, man. And it's something that's a continuous conversation, man. And I feel like we can go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about it, man. And there's so many things in this book that I want to talk to people about. But I'll have like three more questions, bro. And one of the questions is for you, when co-writing this book, right? What was one of the things that kind of gave you that spark of inspiration to do such, to write a book? Because you guys could have done like a PDF file that gave a brief description of the secrets of the universe and just kept it like that. But you guys decided to write a book that will forever be etched in history. And it's 5 stars on Amazon, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Talk that talk. Yeah.
Again, thank you for the kind words. It's like, you know, I think I've had a lot of defining moments in my life, and I think, you know, when I was 22 years old, I had a very transcendental experience where I knew mentally that I had decided to go down an entirely different path. And it was from that moment on that I began to gather all of this information to be able to compile my experience along with the research that we've done into this book. And for me personally, and it varies per the other authors as well, but for me personally, the big thing that I did was I was motivated to get out of bed every day, get some sun on me, and get in the gym and exercise. I'm a big fitness guy. I like exactly. Love that, engaging in that activity. And my commitment in that gave me the superpower to essentially help co-write this book, truly, and put in elements of motivation which are scattered throughout it. And I think that's something that people need now. It's the motivation. It's something that we should be celebrating. You know, we should be celebrating each other's successes. We shouldn't be envious. We shouldn't hold any contempt for them. We need to celebrate one another. And that's a big thing that I wanted to put in the book.
Amazing. Yeah, and it does speak about a lot about the human body and connection and how everything works together, man. So that's beautiful. Like working out is therapy, man. Like if you're mad, go to the gym, bro. You know, go outside, run, do some push-ups, like something, man, because your body does react to that kinetic energy in a way that it's supposed to, and your mind will come into alignment with your body. But if your mind is functioning, your body is not really highly vibrational. It's only going to be at a certain point. You know what I'm saying? It's only going to be at a certain point. Another question I have is, in the whole book, in this whole amazing book that you guys wrote together, what is one takeaway that you would give to the people, as far as for them to look out for when buying the book?
Something you mean that they could look into if they were to purchase the book or something like that? Is that
sure? What should they be looking forward to?
Looking forward to? I got you.
That's a better way to put it.
The thing that they should be looking forward to is the love that was put into this book when it was written by the writers. This book is a book, at the end of the day, it's about the all-engulfing energy of the universe that is love. It's all about that. And it's about truth. And truth cuts sometimes, and it hurts. And it's hard for people to handle. But if you go into it mind and you are willing to humble yourself to understand that there may have been a bubble that you've been living under in your life, or there may have been some other external influence, and it is no fault of your own, and you should not feel bad about it. This is something that you should look forward to, because the longer anybody puts that off, the more challenging it becomes later on in their life to deal with. So it's about love. That's what it's about, and you'll find written then put into that book.
Yeah, man. Love is a true religion. And the third question, we're going to go from just delicious flames, man. My boy Brian, Interested to hear the amazing guest thoughts on what happens to the soul after physical death. Ooh, it
That's
would
a
have that up.
that's a big question, and I
Yeah,
think it's so personal for everybody. And when
yeah,
I
man.
about it, I'm speaking about it from my own strict viewpoint, and it's none others than myself. I really think that let me actually start here, because it's such a big question, and
Yeah,
I want to really hone in and get this one right.
sure.
Death right now is looked at very negatively, especially here in the Western world. Um, I think it's something that really should be celebrated in a sense, and I think that what happens to the soul of of the body after passing is, if you are living in tandem with the divine masculine and feminine energies in your life, and you do good things to help yourself, your family, and society as a whole, and you master the physical form of the primordial self as well as the higher level self, the mental form. You have the physical from the neck down, and you have the mental from the neck up. If you master these two forms, when you die, you will have so much vibrational energy. Your soul will have acquired so much power and strength and love that it will go back to the source. It will go back to God. It'll go back to the universe, and you won't necessarily experience things the same way as human, but it will be an entirely different experience for you, and it will be a beautiful one. And that's just what I think about that.
Man, that's deep, man. That's deep. There's a thing that I've heard quite often from people where they say like, in order for us to be here on this planet, we have to sign like a spiritual contract, right? It's kind of like we sign like this note of like, it's kind of like Earth is like this tourism spot. And it's like, oh, you want to ride, you want to catch this ride to Earth. Well, you know, you got to sign off on this, read the fine print, this and that. There's no turning back once you go here, right? Because you're going to learn some stuff. And it's like, to me, Earth is like the ultimate learning grounds before you go to experience your real journey, you know? And, you know, we look at Eastern civilizations, and you look at karma, and you look at reincarnation and things of that sort. And it seems to me to think that one of the key things that on this planet, not only for us, is to find purpose, make impact, but it is to heal ourselves, man.
Mm-hmm.
Man, heal thyself. Shout out
Beautifully.
to Islam, you know, we need to heal ourselves, man, because there's so much genetic coding that is passed down to us from our fathers' fathers, you know, fathers' fathers, mother's mother, whatever, right? And it can be 10 generations down the line that's getting passed down to you from something that has not been healed.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't heal that energy within yourself, you could either pass it down to your future generations, or if it's your time to clock out, you
Yep.
know, you carry
Bear
that with you.
bear the
Yeah,
sin of fathers, or is the phrase. We bear the weight of our ancestors would probably be a better quote. But yeah,
yeah,
that's it. And we are put here, as you said, to face these challenges and complete them. And if we do so correctly, we will move on to the next life.
we'll move on. And if not, we'll be back here trying to figure it out again, man. So you know, we all need to stay highly vibrational, man. Love one another, as Dan said. Always find love within everything that you do in this life, man. Never look down on where you are presently, because 5 years ago you probably didn't know that you were going to be here, that where you are today. You know what I'm saying? I
Absolutely.
sure as didn't.
No, me neither. That's the crazy thing about life. You find yourself in all these different spots, different places, and as long as you keep in mind, that love energy, you'll get through any challenge that the universe throws your way.
Facts, facts, man. And that's the end of my questions, bro. And I think definitely saw a few people in there said we need a part 2, man. So we'll have to do a part 2 with you and Matt, and whether it's part 2 on here or part 2 on you guys is on the Team Psycosmos podcast, man. We definitely got to chop it up again, bro, because it's highly vibrational conversations, man, and just having community, man, is very vital and important, bro, for sure. Yeah, man. So everybody, Dan, if you don't mind holding up the book again and doing your plug on your book, man, so everybody can go get it, man. Do the plug and whatever you want to tell people about the book, man. Let's get it in and get out of here.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you so much again for this lovely opportunity, Caesar. This has been great, guys. Again, keep in mind we'll be doing another part to this on our YouTube channel, more on Caesar's social media as well as ours. And I'll show everyone the book once more. It is Psycosmos, a synthesis on human history and spirituality. It's available on BookBaby as well as Amazon. If you can find it on Amazon. I know some people have been having troubles, but it's there if you do enough digging. If you go to our Instagram page, Team Psycosmos, our link tree gives all the information that you could ever need about what we're about. I just want to say again, thank you, everyone, and thank you, Caesar, for giving me the opportunity to share this with everybody. This has been quite the conversation this evening.
Anytime, brother, and we'll definitely run it back, man. And I appreciate you all, and tell everybody I said what's up, man, and I hope Matt's doing well, bro, and we'll stay in touch, man, for sure.
Fantastic. Thanks again, Caesar.
Of course, anytime, man. Peace, everybody. We'll see y'all later. We appreciate y'all.